Alright guys, I've got a world exclusive about JK Rowling. The lady that protests too much. JK Rowling, famous for the Harry Potter books, is now famous for being transphobic, but I can reveal that JK Rowling herself is transgender. That's right, and I will unveil the evidence later in this video. But first I want to just highlight a couple of examples of JK Rowling being an absolute idiot on Twitter. She gives these absolutely disgusting opinions. It goes way beyond her thoughts on transgenders. Here's her Twitter account here. This is where all the magic happens. And just a couple of days ago, she was continuing her controversial tweets. Here she is, virtue signaling, like virtue signaling, but for people who aren't really arsed. So here she is calling out a typo. Now, people who call out typos are just really annoying in general. But she was calling out the South Wales police, and they're talking about supporting communities. Let's dig into this story a little bit. JK Rowling slammed for mocking typo about virtue signaling after her homophobic killing. JK Rowling has been slammed by social media users who criticised her for mocking a tweet from a police department. So what's this about? So the author's post comes after the Welsh Police Department shared their LGBT plus outreach efforts near the site of a homophobic hate crime. So here they are doing some outreach with the LGBT stand here. And some guy responded, "Stop virtue signaling and get on with your job. I'm sure folk would rather have those two cars patrolling the street. Embarrassing. Also, how much did this cost?" And the police responded, "Good evening. Supporting our communities is not virtual signaling, and we make no apologies for doing so." So this is where she called out this word virtual signaling instead of virtue signaling. So supposedly there was a hate crime against a gay person. She's been called out for mocking that whole incident by calling out a typo. And honestly, like I said, calling out typos is such a weak thing to do. People who do that are just really pathetic. Now here's a quick story. Mom of wheelchair-bound son sets lying JK Rowling straight about President Trump. Still no apology. Now there was an apology, so there was an update on this. But basically JK Rowling put up a tweet saying that this kid here was ignored by Trump. Now, they didn't show, the media, of course, who love to lie and make Trump out to be a monster, didn't show the entire clip where Trump was here talking to the boy, and this came before he went across and spoke to all these people and seemingly ignored the kid when Trump had already spent quite a long time talking to this kid before the media showed the clip that they wanted to show. And of course, JK Rowling fell for the media deception, and she said, "How stunning and how horrible that Trump cannot bring himself to shake the hand of a small boy who only wanted to touch the president." And the kid's mother responded by saying, "If someone can please get a message to JK Rowling, Trump didn't snub my son, and Monty wasn't even trying to shake his hand. 1, he's 3 years old, and handshaking is not his thing. 2, he was showing off his newly acquired Secret Service patch. Thanks." So JK Rowling totally got it wrong, and eventually she apologized. So here's an article. JK Rowling apologizes over Trump disabled boy tweets. And here's the apology. "My tweets about the small boy in a wheelchair whose preferred hand the president appeared to ignore in press footage. Sources have informed me that that was not a full or accurate representation of their interaction. I very clearly projected my own sensitivities around the issue of disabled people being overlooked or ignored onto the images I saw, and if this caused any distress to that boy or his family, I apologize unreservedly. These tweets will remain, but I will delete the previous ones on the subject." So she did apologize to the kid and the family and stuff. Fair enough, I guess. But here's the interesting part. Rowling did not apologize to Mr. Trump himself. So she didn't apologize to Trump, even though she's claiming Trump was the bad guy here. She apologized to the family if she offended him, but she owed an apology to Trump. She completely misrepresented Trump, made him out to be this monster who ignored the kid in the wheelchair, and she refused to apologize to Trump. So this was like a half-assed apology where she didn't apologize to Trump, and she should have. An absolute disgrace. And here she is calling PewDiePie a fascist. For those who think fascism is an edgy accessory. So the background of this is that PewDiePie went on the website Fiverr and paid these guys $5 to put up a sign that says "Death to all Jews," and then saying "Subscribe to Keemstar." So PewDiePie, this is a joke where PewDiePie tried to make Keemstar out to be like an anti-Semite and stuff. It was just a joke between PewDiePie and Keemstar, and also PewDiePie did this just to show how dumb this website Fiverr is and how you could pay people to do anything these days. And here, going back to the tweet she put up, people called her out here. And I like this one here. Wow, you're good at making up stories. You should be an author. Now, in recent times, she's become really famous for being transphobic. And this article points out some of the things she's put up. So she was accused of transphobia last summer when replying to an article with the headline, Opinion, Creating a More Equal Post-COVID-19 World for People Who Menstruate. She tweeted, people who menstruate? I'm sure there used to be a word for these people. Someone help me out. Wimbin, Wimpund, Wumud. She was also blasted in 2019 for backing a researcher who was fired for tweeting, Men cannot change into women. Rowling, who is said to be worth hundreds of millions, responded, My life has been shaped by being female. I do not believe it's hateful to say so. And somebody sent her death threat, I wish you a very nice pipe bomb in the mailbox. And she replied, when you can't get a woman sacked, arrested or dropped by her publisher, referring to herself, and cancelling her only made her book sales go up, there's really only one place to go. One follower asked, is this still because of her comments about the safety of women in toilets, changing rooms, if men can use them by simply saying they identify as a woman? Rowling replied, yes, but now hundreds of trans activists have threatened to beat, rape, assassinate and bomb me. I've realised this movement poses no risk to women whatsoever. So here she is with a sarcastic response saying that trans activists are no threat to women while threatening to kill her. And she's issued some lengthy statements raising concerns about the new trans activism. She claimed to be worried about the effect the trans rights movement have on education and safeguarding children. She said she was interested in freedom of speech and concerned about the huge explosion in young women wishing to transition, and also about the increasing numbers who seem to be detransitioning. And indeed, recently she's been putting up some tweets from people who've been detransitioning. So here she is recently, March 20th, just a few days ago. And this has drawn the ire of the trans lobbyists yet again. But guys, I can exclusively reveal that JK Rowling herself identifies as a man. And therefore, she is a transgender herself. So what's going on? The evidence is right here on Twitter. So let's zoom in here. I'm going to zoom right in. Let's see, I'm going to zoom 240, 300%. Let's go up to 400%. Let's go all out here. Let's see what it says in her Twitter bio. Writer, sometimes known as Robert Galbraith. Known as Robert Galbraith. Let's highlight this. Robert Galbraith. Robert, in case you didn't know, is a man's name. JK Rowling identifies as a man. Robert Galbraith. She is in fact a transgender. Let's have a look at the definition of transgender, of relating to or being a person whose gender identity differs from the sex the person had or was identified as having at birth. Gender identity. Okay, so her gender identity, she identifies as Robert Galbraith. She identifies as a man. JK Rowling, you are a transgender and you doth protest too much. You are a flaming hypocrite. So let's zoom back out. Here she is, the flaming hypocrite, JK Rowling. There's her biopic there, a woman with a crooked mouth. Look at that crooked mouth right there. She talks out of both sides of this mouth. No surprise because it's so crooked. And here is the website of Robert Galbraith, the official website, robert-galbraith.com. And here is jkrowling.com, the official JK Rowling website. So here she is identifying as a woman, and here she is identifying as a man. I should say he. He is identifying as a man here. And let's have a look at the About section. So, about Robert Galbraith. And here, what was it always your idea to write under a pseudonym for these books? So, yes, blah, 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 blah. Let's have a look at the last sentence here. I continue to write as Robert to keep the distinction from other writing because I rather enjoy having another persona. I need to zoom in here and read the sentence again. Look at this. I rather enjoy having another persona. She enjoys being a man. She enjoys identifying as a man. She enjoys being a transgender. She enjoys it and she can do it. But for other people, no, you can't identify as a man. Or you can't identify as a woman. But I can. I'm JK Rowling. I can do whatever I want. And just in case people think that Robert might be a female name and she identifies as a woman. No, 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 no. Why have you chosen to write these books under a male pseudonym? Does it influence your writing? I clearly wanted to take my writing persona as far away as possible from me, so a male pseudonym seemed like a good idea. A male pseudonym. So she's saying straight out she's using a male pseudonym. She's identifying as a male. So she's a transgender. It doesn't consciously change the way I write. I write differently because it's a very different genre. Blah, blah, blah. Male pseudonym. And I rather enjoy having another persona. So, transgenderism for me, but not for thee. That's JK Rowling's philosophy, guys. She's an elitist hypocrite. She's just like all the politicians who think that the rules don't apply to them. She doesn't want other people being transgender, but when it suits her, she's going to be a transgender. She is going to be known as Robert Galbraith whenever she wants. And when it suits her, she's going to be the feminist JK Rowling, a woman who, being a woman, has shaped her whole life. But then she can be Robert Galbraith whenever she chooses. So that's it, guys. All crooked mouth JK Rowling. She's a flaming hypocrite. She's an absolute disgrace. She shoots her mouth off on Twitter and she sits in her mansion outside of Edinburgh in Scotland. Don't forget to subscribe. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about the whole issue with JK Rowling and the whole transgender controversy. Share this video, like this video, spread the word about how hypocritical this woman is, or should I say man. Is it Robert Galbraith? Is it JK Rowling? Who knows? It's whatever she wants. And she's going to go on Twitter and she's going to criticize others. So be sure to subscribe. I'll see you guys later.